So apparently you did that thing you think you're entitled to do, and you took what I just did, and what did you do? Copyright it? Deliver it to the accounts that have already been copyrighted that you redistribute to who? Your wife? Your daughter? Your mistress? The teenager you've told is very, very talented and will what? One day work in that job she really highly esteems? Maybe somebody that you met when you were, I don't know, cruising around outside the military recruiter office? I don't know who she is, but apparently, whoever she is, she's not qualified. So I'll just try to do this a little more calmly, I suppose. Passion only goes so far when you're dealing with these people. I know what you want. Donut Queen Limited. Donut Queen Limited. It's hard to chase down. Hearing May 8th, 1984. Determinations on September 11th of 1990. I guess you didn't like the other way it was, right? Because in that case, it would have actually demonstrated that a mother and her children were being trafficked. But you apparently already leveraged a whole bunch of other deals, getting all those other women identity accounts on trafficking women and the mother. So you need for me to up the ante. May 2nd. May 2nd on a 40 year. See, my daddy wasn't in the army. Neither was yours. Now, we have two cases going all the way back to 1966 that I understand have been swapped out with each other. And that part of that is that people who set up terms of repayment for intentionally acquired bankruptcies in order to leverage the liquidation for financing in other entities allowed for those to be swapped out. And when you guys were doing your little experiment with the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, you tried to put two of those cases together. You tried to join the executrix and all of those chemical bank accounts. And by that time, they had already been transferred over to Chase. And the trick was, how were you going to switch them over to launder all of that nice stuff you had sat on from those seizures at Citigroup, right? You had already hooked it up. You already had options on your ladies and gentlemen to get the good stuff. But who were you going to get to do the actual laundering? And then after you did it, how are you going to make sure they kept their mouths shut long enough for you to either get them to sign a non-disclose or a waiver of liability? Well, if they said no to all the other options, just have them declared mentally incompetent so you can illegally expropriate. Wrong. It is unconstitutional to obligate persons to situations of unlawful debt or violations of rights to habeas corpus, to expropriate intangible or tangible personal private property and allow for its sale or redistribution in processes of creation of alter egos to be claimed as property by others. Case law citations held at this time. It is unconstitutional to obligate to illegal debt individuals not beholden to terms of repayment on reclaimed assets following seizure or foreclosure that were made available for recirculation as credit on new lines of finance or to or by which they were engaged in financial obligations. Case law references withheld at this time. It is illegal to use these illegal processes to misappropriate federal capital outlays for illicit and fraudulent privatization to private creditors, including in the form of federal subsidies for following reprogramming of existing areas of appropriation, especially if the Constitution is violated in the processes of so doing. Case law citations withheld at this time. It is illegal to engage in acts of murder, to manipulate rights to inheritance, or to impede ascribement of beneficiaries in relation to life insurance benefits in order to liquidate assets of an estate, for either illegal appropriation by the federal government for laundering via the federal government, including via the judiciary, in order to redistribute it to private corporations, including those able to access the distribution of these illegally expropriated assets via their participation in federal programs, including emergency financial assistance programs, tax relief programs, or federal subsidy programs. Case law citations withheld at this time. You are not getting away with your collection of bankruptcy for your due date of tomorrow. Everything you've done to try to put a lien on me and my people for this kind of recirculation is further proof of the fact you were never qualified to begin with. If I show up in your office with a hard copy, first and only copy, and you don't get back to me in all this time, and all the evidence accumulates, and all your little attempts to frustrate me fail, it proves you never had what it takes to qualify to begin with.